Say that again. The hypothalamus regulates secretions of the anterior pituitary gland. Roughly 9 different hormones dealing with that anterior pituitary. The posterior pituitary is nervous tissue and is just simply an extension of the hypothalamus. The 9 hormones from that anterior portion are going to go on to regulate body functions and regulate secretions of other endocrine glands. Let me explain, Morgan, because I see the look. Okay? Now, the hypothalamus controls the pituitary. The posterior pituitary is an extension of that hypothalamic nervous tissue. The anterior pituitary is going to be controlled by the hypothalamus. So that means products of the hypothalamus are going to affect the product of the anterior pituitary. The product of the anterior pituitary is going to move on to affect the secretion of all these other glands. For example, we have from the hypothalamus this. That will get produced, moved by way of this tract and affect this one. Now, what are they?
Thyroid stimulating hormone.
Thyroid stimulating
And then
hormone.
Thyroid releasing.
Thyroid releasing hormone. So, thyroid is the key term here. So, if I look at my thyroid, the hypothalamus is going to affect my TSH, the thyroid stimulating hormone. And if it does that, that's going to affect my thyroid releasing hormone. So if the thyroid releasing hormone gets released, where do you think it's going to travel?
Thyroid.
Your thyroid gland. Is that the thyroid hormone?
No.
No. It's not the thyroid hormone. The thyroid releasing hormone tells the thyroid to produce the thyroid hormone. So therefore the thyroid will produce the thyroid hormone. Yes or no?
Yes.
Tell me now if you don't understand. So that anterior pituitary is going to produce products that will affect every other gland. Good. All right. beating a dead horse here. Okay? But sometimes we have to hear something 7 times to remember it. Right? So, the pituitary gland, anterior, posterior. Posterior, nervous tissue, okay? Infundibulum. The connection, the extension between the posterior pituitary and the hypothalamus. This area right here that looks like a track, okay, that's known as the infundibulum. A stalk, that's what an infundibulum means. A stalk. Looks just like a stalk. The posterior pituitary gland secretes because it's nervous tissue, okay? It secretes what we call neuropeptides. Peptides are just simply the connections between amino acids. So it is the neuropeptides that get secreted. And it can only do 2. Antidiuretic and oxytocin. The anterior pituitary, adenohypophysis.
What were the 2 it produces? I'm sorry.
ADH, antidiuretic hormone, and the oxytocin. Now, the anterior pituitary is going to have these 3 areas of it. They are very, the boundaries, they're not very well defined. So they just simply say one is distal, one is middle, and one is close. Does that make sense? So now, if we begin to look at the connection for this anterior to the hypothalamus, does it look like it's actually doing a connection? No. It kind of looks like it's swinging off of the stalk, right? So how is it that we're going to have some control, or how is it that the hypothalamus is going to be able to communicate or control the anterior? And that's where we're going to find the tract that I'm mentioning, okay? It's going to have a really cool name, trust me. Didn't mean to leave this one in here, but we'll just take a quick glance at it, okay? In early development, the embryonic development, I'm not going to ask you about this, okay? But embryonic development, note that roughly by the 16 weeks of development, we're seeing the optic chiasm, we're beginning to see the stalk show up, and that pituitary gland.
16 weeks?
Roughly at 16 weeks. Yeah. Because we're going to need the chemical messengers from this for the rest of the development of the offspring to affect the tissues of the offspring, which is what caught me so off guard in the little video when he was talking about the bunnies and that scientist who did the bunny stuff. That was actually kind of interesting for me. I know you guys don't even go into it, okay? But for me, I'm probably going to do some more looking up about that, okay? So, how is it that we are going to have this connection with the hypothalamus and the anterior pituitary? Begin to start looking roughly at page 634 of your textbook. Okay, let's kind of take this apart right here, all right? my hypothalamus, which is containing nervous tissue, meaning neurons, okay? Those neurons, they are going to have the ability to synapse, their product, of course, being a chemical, okay? So now, let's kind of look at what we've got here in the way of structure. Because this one part that I want you to kind of notice about this picture. Now note, I'm talking about the relationship right now between the hypothalamus and the anterior pituitary. The one where I'm going to have a track, okay? Do you see a word up there that looks really interesting? Come on, you guys. Hypothalamo-hypophyseal portal system. Say that 10 times. Hypothalamo-hypophyseal. Hypothalamo-hypophyseal. No, I'm not saying it.
I don't think I can say it once.
Hypothalamo-hypophyseal portal system. So they're trying to show us right here that portal system. Now the reason that I'm emphasizing a portal system, you're going to see this again, okay? You're going to see a portal system. There are two major portal systems in the body, and this is one of them, okay? So this hypothalamo-hypophyseal portal system. First thing to note, right here. An artery. We have an artery feeding into this structure. Does everybody see that? When we talk about a portal system, we've got a direct connection to blood supply, all right? And basically what's going to happen, we're going to, in the portal system, we say that there is a primary and a secondary network. All right, so for a portal system, there is a primary and a secondary network. The primary is the blood being delivered by way of the artery. The primary network is the blood being delivered by the artery. The connection from the hypothalamus into the anterior by way of this structure, this is going to become our secondary network. The blood flow is not directly into this region. The blood flow is coming into the structure of the portal system. And then product travels into the anterior from the hypothalamus.
Can you explain the secondary one again?
Connection from the hypothalamus.
Okay, so the primary